I found a dead squirrel in my yard, so happy autumn to all.
Yay. I very rarely get to sit in my own desk chair because my two dingbat cats think they own the joint.
Unfortunately, Heather, they do. Replacing propane tanks for a grill is right up there on the list of errands I dislike the very most.
I feel you. Quail are the cutest darn creatures. When I see their booties waddling around the yard, I'm reminded that the world hasn't ended yet.
Not yet. Have such a good day. Hello, world. Welcome back to Have Such a Good Day, the show that wants you to do show tunes.
Episode 166.
166. Heather, I don't know the significance, but it's a kind of a cool number.
It's kind of
I'm
a cool
down
number.
with it.
I think it's going to be cooler when we're at 666, but that's a little further down the road.
God. I'm like,
As
let
Halloween
me do
is
math
coming
for a
up.
second. 500 more episodes.
Oh,
Sure,
boy.
yeah, we'll be there. We'll be
Another
there.
10 years.
Yeah.
Say, how's it going with y'all out there? You guys feeling the,
How are
the
you,
cool air
world?
vibes?
Well, might be getting hot depending on what hammy you're in.
Yeah, it's funny. I was going back and forth with a friend of mine who lives in Glendale, which is like East LA, and she's so beyond fed up with the heat. And it's hotter in Glendale than it is in Hollywood. A lot hotter, actually.
Well,
And
it's farther east and north, and you're,
yeah,
at the base of the
and I was just
mountains.
like, well, it's cold here today, and she's like, well, I would totally switch with you, and I'm like, okay, let's do it. But man, we can't ever be happy, can we?
I am trying to. I sounded like I was about to cry just then. I love weather. I don't know. I mean, I joke all the time. Like Heather and I can complain about just about anything. That's one of our special superpowers.
Strong suits.
But I do like changing of seasons.
Me too.
I don't necessarily. So, like for example, right now it's we had some unseasonably early rain a couple weeks ago.
Us too.
But around here, like I've said before, I mean it can be hot kind of almost through the holidays, although it will start, it'll really cool
Cools
down
off at night, yeah.
overnight, come November. And you get into winter, and winter's winter, and I winter is my least favorite, and it's not really because I don't like bundling up. In fact, I like that a lot. I like warm food and movies, and even being outside when it's brisk and you
Big old
gotta,
puffy jacket,
and you get your scarves out, maybe some gloves,
little beanie
yeah,
action.
like it can be fun, but it's also limiting.
Yeah,
If it's like
it is.
stormy, rainy, it's like, nah, now taking Otis out becomes this whole thing.
Yeah.
My whole days like around not, tracking mud into the house.
It's
there's
funny.
things. There's always things.
There's always things. I mean, I actually like a good winter storm with a fire in the fireplace. Yeah, bundle up, but I just don't like it to last for like 6 months. And so I think for me, I like dynamic weather patterns. Like I don't need sunny days every day like you do in like SoCal, but like on days like today where it's like it's just white. It's just white all day. There's no movement. There's no cloud movement. There's
just
nothing.
everything is very diffused.
It's very diffused, and I think that's what I don't like. I don't mind like the cold so much. Like sometimes
You're looking for some
it's-
shadow, Heather.
I'm looking for some shadow. I'm looking for some light. I'm looking for some color. I'm just, hey man, if you're tuning in for the first time, as a friendly reminder that this is the show that unpacks the absurdity of everyday life for your entertainment. And
Yes. In case you
we
were
are
wondering, how did
so
I get
glad
here?
You're here.
We are. We're glad you're here. Whether this is a conversation you want to have or not, well, doggone
It's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen. It's funny. Diffused light. I always, when people complain about San Francisco, which is a city that you and I both lived in for many, many years. One of the biggest complaints is it's so foggy all the time, and that is true. It's a foggy city. You can also, if you know what you're doing, you can make your way around it and, enjoy lots of sunshine. But when I was in college and I wasn't a photography major, but because of my broadcasting major, there was a fair amount of photography classes that I took, which was super fun, like photojournalism. And at the time, I mean, this is, I mean, I'm not a dinosaur, but like, digital SLRs existed, but like teachers didn't want you to use them. Like it was like,
Yeah,
no, no, no,
makes
no, no. You're
sense.
processing your own film. You're going to a dark room. Like that was, it was old
You had to
school.
learn the process.
Learn the process. And one of my, probably the first one really, the class that I took, it was all black and white film, no color allowed. And, we would have these assignments, there'd be a theme, you go out, you take a bunch of stuff, you've got the week to process everything, and then you come back and you show the class. So fun.
So fun.
But us all being, I went to San Francisco State, so Foggy City. And we'd all come back, and like there were a lot of things. And, the professor was always like, but where are the shadows? Like I need drama. Like, what about, like the twilight hour and whatever. And like so many of us would be like, it was foggy though. Like, I
really
mean,
funny.
like, come on, man. Like we could like set up a lighting rig or something in a studio, but that wasn't the assignment.
That's really funny because I have a similar story. When I did photography classes, similar, college class, I lived in a place that was very forested. And I remember the teacher, because I went out and did like these theatrical photo shoots, like with like models and like makeup and weird clothes. And just like, I had like a whole like, aesthetic that I was trying to achieve. And so he took me into his office one day and thanked me for not shooting redwood trees, because everybody, and when we would do the regular, go around the room and you share your work, everybody had like trees. And so like when you become a photography teacher, it's almost like you really have to be sure that you know the area that you're teaching in, because you're going to get a lot of that area. And if you don't like it,
Yeah.
and you don't want trees, maybe relocating is something you should consider.
Yeah. It's funny. Some of those, I mean, many of those, the photos that I took in that class are long gone. I probably have the negatives. I'm never one to throw away a negative.
Yeah, me
But
too.
that's deep in a box, somewhere. But, so many of those photos, I remember being like, there'd be a photo here and there, that I would take, as part of whatever theme it was. And these were fun classes because not only were you in the class with the other kids, but you'd see them in the dark room. Like we were all doing the same thing. Like, hey, where were you today? Oh, you went to the cemetery. Oh, cool. Or like, hey, do you think this black is black enough? Nah, I gotta do it again. Ah, shit. That like it was fun. But there were certain photos that I was like, wow, this is like really good. Like I am a Pulitzer Prize winning photographer. And, and I would even get like accolades from some of the other, students who knew
Sure.
me,
Yeah.
and then in class, the teacher would be like, I mean, the Legion of Honor has been photographed probably a million times and many times from this exact angle. Nothing wrong with it, but like, you got to think outside the box a little more. And here I was like, 19, 20 years old, like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, like how do you think out? Maybe we didn't learn how to think outside the box at that age.
Well,
or something.
think of how many Instagram photos you see. I mean, Instagram, I'm throwing you under the bus specifically just because it's a good example. But like, how many photos do you see where someone is like, oh my God, like this like beautiful picture of Madrid, and you're like, ugh,
Yeah.
it's so cliche. Like
It's like everything's cliche now. I feel like everything is, and like you bring up the be real. It's my friends
right,
were
yeah.
actually doing that today on my chat thread. I don't know if they heard it from our show. I'm sure they heard it from somewhere else. But
It's pretty popular.
it's
I'd
pretty
love to take
popular.
credit, but I think they might have known.
Yeah,
already.
exactly. And yeah, it's I don't know. I didn't partake, and I considered it, but I was like, my hair was messy or something. And I know that's the point.
That's the point. And I know. Every time I'm like, this isn't for me. Some of my friends who really, really like it are like, no, Sarah, though, you have so much more control over it than you think. You think it's just like, you have to take like a photo of yourself in the shower or something. Like you don't have to do that. But then I started to get all these notifications and it's just,
you just do it in a moment, right? Like when you're doing something mundane.
Yeah, that's the point.
And it's like a selfie.
Mundane or just like, this is real life.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing is like, I'm not on the beach in Santorini right now. Nope. My baby just exploded her diaper or something, you know? And like both of those photos, go ahead and don't show me. I don't care.
Please don't. Please don't.
Please don't. So anyway, I know that the folks that listen to the show care about Heather and I very much, and we do open up about personal. Listen,
I mean, you could hate us. I don't know.
If you hate, listen, I'm almost like more into you because I'm like, what do you hate the most?
Yeah, like it's
like I'm fascinated. What grinds your gears and you just can't stop coming back? Like that's really a superpower. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
Someone hates me so much. I mean, don't hurt me or anything, but like if you hate me so much that you can't stay away, let's talk. Anyway, I did allude to there being some kind of health stuff going on with me, as everybody knows, or if you're new to the show and you don't know me otherwise, I had breast cancer. Well, I have it, but I had surgery to get rid of it just under a year ago now. And there was a lot of stuff that went with that, and it was pretty dramatic situation. That said, my outcome was as great as could be expected given the circumstances. I healed. I would not say, oh, it's like nothing ever happened. No, body's not the same. Let's not mince words. But I felt pretty darn good about, the choices that I had made to make sure that I was as healthy as possible going forward. And for the most part, that meant aggressive surgery that I elected to have. I did not have to have it. I wanted to. So that was that. Fast forward, pretty much everything's all good. Besides just kind of, mentally, these things are tough. I mentioned that I had joined a cancer support group some months ago, and that had been helpful to me. And just kind of stuff that I realized that I needed an outlet, and not just to like dump out my feelings, but also to like understand other people's feelings who overlap some of my feelings, so that I'm not just trying to explain myself to somebody all the time who is empathetic and, sympathetic, but also just like is like, ooh, sounds pretty bad, Sarah.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Totally.
And that's been great. So I'm going to make this next part real short. I found another lump in an area that was close to where everything was taken out before. It got biopsied. It is cancer. I will be getting that taken out. We're now in lymph node territory because I don't actually have breasts anymore. I mean, I look like I do, but they're just big old silicones. They're not really that big, but they're not organic anymore. So, this was not supposed to happen.
Yeah.
And it did. And I've had quite a few tests. And I'll keep it brief because a lot of this is just like medical speak anyway, but it does not appear that anything beyond this particular area is an issue, and that's really good.
Good.
So that's happening in a couple weeks. Heather and we're kind of trying to figure out our schedules right now because we're both so slammed, and once the surgery happens, I'm going to be pretty out of commission. Probably not for, don't want to say anything, but if it's anything like last time, within a month, I'm going to be tip top.
Yeah.
Back doing, not lifting weights, but, living my life, and stuff like that. So that's where we are. And just I am not going to play doctor because I am not one. And I do not play one on TV for anybody who's old enough to know that reference. But I just, I've been telling kind of nobody. So this isn't a secret, but I don't know. I haven't made some big declaration about it. It's very difficult to talk to a lot of people that I know care to know about this, but they don't all know me in the same way. And so it's like, I don't really want to, send all those emails,
Yeah.
you know, or make all those phone calls or text messages or Facebook, WhatsApp, the
It's a
list
can
goes
of
on.
worms that is just endless, really.
And I also, I mean, the easiest thing would be to be like, okay, well, you could just BCC everybody and send an email. If you didn't want it to be like on Twitter, which I also could, it's like all that stuff, just what you end up getting is a bunch of wonderful, loving, like vibes back.
Yeah.
And that's so awesome. I mean, that's exactly, I mean, that's, of course, that's why I love
What you
humans,
should get.
but it can be overwhelming.
Absolutely.
And it can kind of like almost take the place of your own self-care a little bit, because
Yep.
then you're kind of like making sure that everybody has been responded to and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Totally.
So we're gonna, cross our fingers and toes. If you're a sloth, I don't even know what they're called, but
Yes, we are. I've been doing that for you for a while, and thank you for being so open and forthright with everybody here. I know this is a tight crew, and
Yeah.
you're very brave, and you bounce back quickly. You're very healthy otherwise, and I think you heal pretty quickly. At least you did the first time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's true. I mean, I think so. I, I don't know. As far as like complications from healing from surgery, don't have them. Never have.
Yeah.
So, yay,
Yay,
skin or
Yay,
whatever.
you.
Yeah. Yeah, right. I've plenty of other things to worry about, but yeah, so that's the news from here. Heather, tell me something good, will ya? Tell me something good.
Well, you know how I feel about your whole situation, and so lots of heart emojis to you, and we're all standing by up here, crossing our toes and our fingers and our eyelashes and all the things, whatever else we can cross. But yeah, maybe just a little like comic relief from the old property business. Maybe we'll lighten the atmosphere. So I thought about you this morning because we had this guy come out, this like sought after guy. He's a wood stove guy.
Oh, okay.
He is hard to kind of nail down. It's a bit of a long story, and I won't belabor all the details, but I finally got him out here, and it's in one of my Airbnbs that we have some issues with one of our wood burning stoves from it's fairly old. It's an old setup, so we need
Yeah.
to replace it to some degree. Like the stove itself is actually fine. It's just like some stuff around it. And man, this guy, these people, these really interesting, people who specialize in these wacky things that I know nothing about. And I'm sitting there listening to him explain all of these things that I know nothing about. And they tend to be yackers. They're yakety yak. And I'm like, okay, well, what?
I know it's the person who's like, I know more about this wood burning stove than anybody, and
Yeah.
I'm about to tell you.
Yes, exactly.
And it's
They
like
can
cool
talk.
info, but you're like, it's a lot.
I was literally like, I gotta go. What's the upshot? Like, give me the upshot. Like, what are we looking at here?
It's just like, yes. Bullet point me. I got 5.
Yeah, and it's so funny though. There's a bunch of these guys and I'm sure that there are these people in production. I'm sure there were. But I just feel like I keep coming across these people where I'm like looking at my watch. I'm like, I gotta go schedule this thing. I gotta go call your boss and get this thing on the books, and I don't need to know all the details really. Like I don't. Part of the reason why I was actually doing it is I'm shuffling around some things with contractors, and we're kind of gonna probably bring on some new people. So it's kind of like something that normally my main contractor would have handled today, but I was a little bit grumpy about having to handle it. It was just like one of those things that it's like, I don't know anything about this. I'm sort of out of my zone on this, and I don't really want to do it. But I think that we figured it out, though. It's something that is complicated because my whole next month is booked. So I'm going to have to figure out what to do about, when we're going to fix this and what I'm going to tell the guests and whatnot. So it's just been, it's like everything. It's like every single day there's sort of a new a new thing. Like I'm heading out of town tomorrow, as you know, Sarah, and I just feel like it's like I don't. Well, there's a couple things here that I want to talk about. So one of the things is I feel like every time I do, and maybe I'm just, it's just adulting, it's just life, it's just that it's just everything. But I get the super long email from my CPA just like an hour ago, telling me all these instructions, very, very detailed. It's like, I'm telling you, it's pages and pages of an email, directions on what I need to sign and what I need to print and what I need to bring to the post office. This is for like a state tax return. There was an extension, we need to get it in by early October.
God.
And I'm like, yo, I'm leaving tomorrow. Like, this is like really inconvenient. It has to be like, postmarked by Thursday. And I'm like, but I'm leaving in the morning. And I've literally scheduled out every minute of my day and my evening and my morning. I haven't even packed. I don't know when I'm going to pack because now I have to go to the post office and do this. And I'm just like, today definitely feels like a Monday. And it's funny because it's fine. I'll figure it out. I'll get it done. If I have to, I'll send it down. When I'm down in the Bay Area, I'll send it from a post office down there. But I thought you'd find this little story amusing. So I feel like ever since I've been talking about like getting a dog, which I'm like, blah, 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 this dog, that dog, I have doggy fever, whatever. You're all very well aware. Most of my friends, like I would say like a very large handful of friends have gotten dogs since then, like new dogs, like puppies. Yay, I got a dog. Wasn't planning on it, but I got a dog. And
Well, as somebody who did exactly that, Heather, sometimes it creeps up on you.
it's true. It's true. And I would like it. I like that it's crept up on me, but I can't get a dog right now. I am restricted from getting a dog right now. And what's so funny is that yesterday I talked to a friend of mine who just got back from Europe and she's been really busy, so we haven't caught up. And she sends me this picture of this adorable dog, and she's like, "Yeah, we have a dog now." And I'm like, "Huh?" They weren't even in the market for a dog. She's a jet setter. She's travels a lot for work and wouldn't even think to get a dog right now. And this dog literally showed up at her door. And to paint the picture for you, so she lives in the country. She lives outside of Glen Ellen, which is sort of near you, Sarah, and it's in wine country, but it's Bennett Valley, which is really, it's not remote, but it's like to get there is a lot of like small one-lane windy roads.
It's one of those, it's outside of Santa Rosa is barely metropolitan, but it's pretty close outside of like a mid-sized city, but you feel like you're in the middle of like, I don't know, Ireland.
The country. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like you're out there.
And she's deep because she's at the top of this hill. It's kind of hard to get up there. She's got like a dirt driveway. I mean, she doesn't have neighbors. I mean, it's fairly remote. And this dog showed up at her door, and it's like kind of a perfect dog for her. It's a Belgian Malinois, which is like, like a Belgian
looks like
shepherd.
a German shepherd.
Looks like a German shepherd, but he's like smaller. It's actually a girl. Her name is Messiah.
I'm gonna just real quick, because
Yeah.
I know some people are gonna be like, hold on a second, was the dog chipped? Does the dog have an owner already? Because Belgian Malinois are not like strays normally.
No, so they apparently, from what I know, is there was like a really janky chain around its neck, like it like broke out or broke free or something. It was just like this tore up chain. I know, it's just like, I don't really like to think about where she came from, but they don't know exactly where she came from. They checked on like the previous owner. I'm not sure about the chip, but what they did was they did register her, and they waited 2 weeks to make sure no one came back to
Is she fixed?
to claim her. Yes, or actually, I don't know. I don't think she is, which I was sort of shocked. She's a puppy, but she's almost a year old.
Well, some dogs have to wait a little bit. Anyway, I'm asking stupid questions that don't have anything to do with,
My
this overall conversation. Yes. Yeah.
My point is that it's just like that funny thing where you're like, a dog literally like dropped out of the sky, and they're like so in love. It's so cute. Like, I'm super happy for them. And I'm like, I just want to get a dog. I want a dog to appear at my door. And I know it will happen someday when the time is right. But in the meantime, we just have our hands full. there's just a lot going
Yeah.
on with my animals. We have 3 animals, and it's just like the dynamic is crazy, and to just throw
And
in
really,
another
Heather, I
animal
mean,
is just,
you know, if you're being really honest with yourself, it's
yeah,
like your cats are a handful.
they are.
Frank the dog is not, but he's also elderly.
Yeah.
This is not the time.
It's not the time. And I mean, Elijah had to get up at 2 a.m. because Frank had the shits. So it's not something that we should throw into the mix right now. I think in the
No.
meantime, I'm
Yeah.
going to embrace my asshole cats, whether they like it or not, and maybe write a children's book about quail. So seriously though, this whole making plans thing, you know, it's funny. One more thing I wanted to mention is that, you know, so I had kind of thought about going to the Bay Area for a very specific reason. And then I kind of backed out of that. And I didn't back out, but I planned that thing. So someone I'm seeing, I'm having this dinner with somebody for somewhat of a business reason.
I was like, romantic? What are you talking about, Heather?
Not romantic, definitely not.
No. Business thing. Got it.
But a businessy thing. Was someone that I love, but and then so I kind of mapped it out. I'm like, well, I'm not just going to pop down there for that because it's like a long drive. So I'm going to kind of map out my way down there and kind of work my way down there and do some fun things. But like this, I really came to the root of why I am like frozen of like looking at the calendar and marking, you know, actually picking a date and booking a flight or booking a hotel or booking a trip of some kind, because every time I do, no joke, and I don't know if it's because it's like the pandemic world and life has just gotten a little like crazier, but I just, every single time I make a decision where I'm like, I'm doing that, I'm staying there, I've already talked to them, I'm doing this, something changes within minutes. It's like crazy making. I'm like, I don't remember it being like this before. I don't know what it is. Maybe there's just a lot going on in people's lives, but yeah, I did book it, but I'm also like, I've had to make changes, and it's like, this is why I don't like to make plans, because I feel like I'm going to get like upended, you know, every time. And I feel like I do, and I don't know what it is. But if you guys have any thoughts, email us at hi@havesuchagoodday.com.
Indeed, yes. Do you have travel ideas for Heather? hi@havesuchagoodday.com. I don't know, Heather. I will say, and I say this with only love, I mean, you move around a lot.
Yeah, I do.
You move around more than the average person. And I'm not even talking about like, oh, in pandemic times. I mean,
You mean like traveling?
yeah.
Yeah.
You like to
Get out and about.
and fill your days with
Go
things.
hither and thither.
Yeah. And that's totally great. That's what makes you so great. At the same time, I think, you know, and I'm like a 75% Heather. Like, you know, I like to be out and about. I like to fill my days, but I'm a little more specific about it.
Yeah, totally.
You know? And that whole kind of like plans changing and being like, okay, square one. All right, let's rebuild this. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. I can do that too.
Yeah.
But I think you allow yourself to do that more than I do.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, you mean like letting things change?
Just being busy to the point where when things change, you're like,
Yeah.
crap.
Yeah,
Now
that's
look
true.
at this week. This is an insane week.
Yeah, that's probably true. But I guess like in terms of like, okay, if I wanted to book a couple days for my birthday, you know, I have like, there's a lot of moving parts because like my sister kind of wants to be involved, but you know, I can't get scheduling from her. And so I'm like, I can't really pull the trigger. And then like Elijah's deadlines and like all that stuff. And
Yeah.
it's funny. I don't even consider myself as somebody who moves around a lot. I guess because I haven't really gone anywhere super far. I guess this summer we did go on some trips, but
travel. I mean that to some extent. I just think you are a person who likes to do things.
yeah,
And that is a very good trait.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. You know, you are not lazy. That is not never an adjective I would use for you.
yeah. It's funny because I think I'm gonna learn one of these days. I just have this feeling that I really do enjoy to chill, and I want to chill more. I just feel this like need to I don't know. It's like, am I really being true to myself here? I guess it's like I feel this restlessness and this urge to see the world and do things, but I get, I get that anxiety before I leave, and I kind of just want to stay home in my own bed and
Yeah.
blah blah blah. And we're very complicated creatures, Sarah.
Boy, are we. We sure are. And again, none of this is right or wrong. I mean, I don't always, well, there are certain weekends where I'm like, bye world, see you on Monday. Like I am just doing whatever I'm doing.
I think that's
and
great.
I don't want to talk to anybody. And it doesn't even mean that I'm napping all day, although that's nice. But it's just like, I'm just kind of like, I'm just puttering around. I'm doing my
love
Sarah
doing
stuff.
that. I love doing that. You never feel guilty, or you never, because I think sometimes I
No,
do.
I would almost feel like annoyed if someone's like, "Where are you?" Kind of thing.
Like I do. What are you doing? What is on the agenda?
Well, I mean, if you say that, I'm like, I'm
it's a little
puttering
different.
around, and then
Yeah.
you get it. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter, but at the same time, that's not always possible. And sometimes I do kind of fuck off for a whole day, and then I'm like, all right, well, that was my choice, and now I have twice as much to do tomorrow.
Yeah,
So like
exactly.
it doesn't really like fix anything.
No.
It's just sort of the way we all kind of handle stress, I think.
I totally agree. I definitely think that I have a little bit of I'm ambitious. I wouldn't say I'm like as far right on the spectrum of ambition of some people that I know, but I do want to be accomplished and productive. And I think I do put like pressure on myself to create and do
Yeah.
things. And I don't know. I think I miss creating things. I think that's why I'm like, well, man, I'm going to write a children's book, because like in production, we were creating. We were coming up with things in thin air. I love doing that, coming up with
Yeah.
ideas and yeah. I mean, my job right now is actually very interesting, but I kind of feel like maybe I'm creating on some level, but it's just different. It's just different.
It is.
Lots to think about all the time.
Well, as we think about the days that I go underground and refuse to talk to anybody and maybe nap and maybe watch movies and maybe watch the entire second season of Hacks,
I love
just
that show.
back to back.
I love that show.
good.
Hey, I was
Yeah,
going to
it's a
ask
good
you,
show, right?
do you feel so when you like during the day, if you're like, I just want to like chill and watch something, can it be sunny out and you feel fine just watching something?
Oh, well, first of all, if it's during the week, I can never do that.
No, like
because I'm
just on the
working.
weekend. Yeah.
If it was a weekend day and I kind of know when I'm heading into Friday Eve,
Mm-hmm.
and I've checked all of the serious boxes off. I don't care what's going on Saturday.
Yeah.
I am chilling.
Totally.
I've got a fridge full of groceries. Obviously, like I'm gonna get out and walk the dog and get some vitamin D.
Yeah.
I'm not going to just like be a shut-in for 24 hours,
No.
but like no, I've got no problem just being like, you know what? Nobody needs anything from me right now. So like for the next 2 hours, I'm doing my thing.
I got to be better about that. You got to teach me the ways, Sarah, because I feel guilty. I feel guilty. And it's maybe this like, I don't know, deep rooted family guilt. I'm not sure what it is. But anyway,
There's a lot to it. There's a lot to it. But on those days where maybe, I'm chilling, I got some time. This is so funny because it's like, anybody who knows me knows that I'm like such an Apple products person, but I haven't used an iPad regularly in quite some time. So I used to do a show about iPads called iPad Today over on the Twit Network with Leo Laporte. Some of you may have, at least heard of the show, if not watched it. And so it was like anytime, every single year. And it was like when the iPad was new, the first, 5 years of the iPad being new. So every time there was a new one, like for work, we just buy new iPads. I mean, it's a work thing. And every so often there'd be an iPad that was like, it was kind of at my house and nobody really at Twit wanted it back. Like it was sort of just recyclable.
Yeah.
And so there were a couple of those that I would give to my mom, like, listen, I mean, technically it belongs to the company, so keep that in mind. I wipe it clean, but like have some fun with it. And so she had these sort of like older iPads because like, why not? Like, what am I going to do with them?
Yeah.
And over time, as the iPhones, at least the ones that I was buying, kept getting bigger, I was like, I don't really, and I didn't do this particular show anymore. So like my focus on iPad apps specifically were much more like, well, what do I really need for my life? Not what do I need to do for the show? And turns out not very many. And so I just like didn't have an iPad anymore for a while. So recently, and my mom has, she reads ebooks on her iPad. Not a Kindle person. She's an iPad person, Nobody's better than the next person, whatever. And I have a Kindle, which I sort of use. I mostly just read dead tree books. But I have never liked the idea of like that LED screen, for
Yeah.
like anything long term, like long form reading. First of all, on an iPhone, I don't care how big the iPhone is. There's only so much I can do. And then I'm like, just give me a laptop. I need a laptop.
Yeah, totally.
I need a keyboard. I
Yep.
need to like, like I need my thing.
Yep.
It's just the way that my brain works. But so my mom recently got a nice shiny new iPad, real nice one.
Nice.
And she was like the one that she had been using, which is not, I mean, it's several years old. I think it's probably about 5 years old, but still like newer than any iPad that I would have lying around. She was like, do you want to just like play around with? Yeah, I could perfectly fine. I just got a new one. And I was like, yeah, sure. So I was kind of like kind of excited, like, you know what? I used to love my iPads. Like, this is going to be fun. That curl up on the couch Saturday when it's sunny out and I say, F it, I'm staying indoors and I'm going to like, do iPad things. I'm struggling to get back into it.
Yeah.
It's like this form factor that makes perfect sense to me, but I'm like, it's big and that's fine. But it's like, I don't know. I feel like I'm holding a plate,
Yeah.
like, and I know that you can like, there's so many, pardon me, peripherals for iPads. You can, like, for anybody who's like, but you could totally use a physical keyboard with an iPad. Like, Sarah, they've been doing that for years. I know all of these things. I know, but I just like, I'm trying to like embrace the like holding the tablet thing.
Yeah. It's funny you bring this up because I inherited not just a very ancient wood burning stove, but I also inherited a very ancient iPad. And it's been sitting here for a while and I finally kind of was like, yeah, I used to have one. I used to have like the latest and I used to really like it a lot and I used it a lot. And I don't even know how many years back I stopped using them and stopped buying them. But I was like, oh yeah, this is cool. Like somewhere in between, sitting at my computer and on my phone, elsewhere. And I'm having a hard time with it too. I do Kindle, but most of my Kindling is on my phone on the app. Because then I'm just like, I don't like having so many gadgets. It's like, where's my Kindle? Is it charged? Same with the iPad. And I feel actually the same about the Apple Watch is I can't get into it. I just can't. That and the iPad to me are actually similar in this kind of wall. I'll use it sometimes like when I was doing my Pinterest boards for my bathroom renovation. That was when I was like, this is great for the iPad. Because I'm tired of being on the computer. It took a lot more research and linking and Pinteresting than I thought. It was a lot more work on my end than I expected. And so I would just be like, tired of being at the computer. And it actually was really helpful to use the Pinterest app on the iPad and, be able to see something that's bigger form, that's not on my phone. And so I did use it for that. And I think it serves its purpose. But I don't use it that much. And it's right next to my window seat. I always use my phone. I kind of do everything on my phone. My phone is, the only thing is I think you and I think both have a big phone. Like we have the 13, whatever it's called plus. And I find it to be such a brick. Like, I actually wish I didn't get that phone because I'm constantly dropping it. It's heavy, and maybe it's my case is actually kind of heavy, but I would almost rather have a smaller phone and then maybe start using the iPad more. Because it's just a bulky phone. So I don't know. I'm kind of in between things right now, but let me know how that goes with the iPad, because I have definitely had a similar, it's been hard to use it again.
Yeah, yeah. And these are early days, and I mean, it's a great problem to have. Like, I have
It
so many
is for sure.
gadgets. Which one is the best for the day that
Exactly.
I just want to fuck off and ignore everybody and sit on my couch and eat chips? Which
That
sounds
sounds
really great
nice.
right now.
Yeah, that does
Maybe
actually.
Saturday. But yeah, it's kind of it'll be interesting. I'm giving it a go. It's funny that you say that about your Apple Watch though, Heather, and maybe it's because I'm so devoted to like the exercise goals.
Yeah.
Like, I gotta close my rings. If I'm not wearing my watch, like, how do I know if I close my rings? And
Yeah,
this is all
totally.
psychological, and everybody, if you know, you know. If not, you're just like, Sarah, that's weird. You could just exercise. Both are true. But it's fun. It's fun. And it's weird because for whatever reason, I'm not wearing it right this second because I changed my clothes before the show started and I forgot to put it back on. But I'm like, now how will I know what time it is? Even though I'm looking at the time on the monitor in front of me, my phone is right next to me. I could probably think of a couple other ways. Oh, I could ask Amazon's assistant what time it is right now. Like, I don't have to, I'm not like hurting for something that a watch provides. But the Apple Watch does
Yeah.
so much more.
It's
Like,
kind
it's
of fun.
fun.
I have one. I have an old one. And I just feel like some of the old ones, they're hard to like. I put it on recently and I'm like, maybe I should just try it. But like when they're kind of old and outdated, I just feel like they're not as
Well,
fun.
that's a little different.
Yeah.
Call yourself an early adopter
I'm
and
an
keep
early
it
adopter.
pushing. There you
Exactly.
go.
And I think I would like it. I think I would totally get back into it. I just yeah, I'd like to try the new one. I think I just have forgotten, what it's great for. And I do like to track my steps, and I don't always have my phone with me because it is a brick. But yeah, anyway, it's always fun to talk about technology. And yeah, let us know what you guys think about all these gadgets and what your favorite is. Email us at hi@havesuchagoodday.com. And I wanted to just mention one quick thing. So when you read, you come across an article and it just really, it's like the perfect article for you at the time because it's kind of precisely what you couldn't put into words, I guess. Like it just resonated.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
yeah, it's this great article that I read on the New York Times, and it was basically like a personal essay, and I had been thinking a lot about how kind of impatient I can be with certain things. And I think I'll notice certain scenarios where I'm just impatient and I'm trying to be better about, taking more quiet time and reading my book and, kind of slowing down, I guess. But
Sure.
I'm always doing a lot. Like you were saying earlier, it's like, I'm, doing a million things during the day and then I have to like get ready to cook dinner. And then I'm like, I got to take care of all the animals. And like, there's just like there's days where I'm literally just like flying around everywhere. Right. And it's like this article, the gist of it. I mean, there was a lot, I don't want to get into all the details of the article, but the piece that I took from it was there was a kind of a friend of hers, the writer, who basically said, you don't need to look for like every single moment to be a 10, like a 1 out of 10, an actual 10.
Sure.
Sometimes you have to like, learn to celebrate the 4s and the 5s and the 3s and the 1s and whatever. And it just sort of made me think about how I feel like when you've set the bar so high for everything in your life and sort of, I guess, the history that you have, that you are, and then you think, oh, well, maybe the status quo kind of thing that's happening every week is like boring, but I think that there's a challenge there. There's a very worthy challenge there that I want to like test it out. Like, I feel like I want to be better about being in the moment, really recognizing. I mean, there's like thousands and maybe hundreds of thousands of books written about this being in the moment thing. I mean, it's very Eastern philosophy.
Meditation apps.
Yeah.
Mindfulness.
Totally.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. But I think I have like historically chalked my life full of like excitement, a lot of, or at least I've tried to have and have been lucky to have a lot of those 10 moments, you know? And so it's like I hold the bar high. But I was like, there are so many of those, like, you know, like a mellow evening that can be a 10. Like there's evenings where I'm like my boyfriend made me dinner last night and I was like reading my book for a solid hour while he was cooking. And then I could smell it, like the smell is like wafting up the stairs, and I was just like getting hungry. And then he calls me down to eat dinner, and he had like the candles lit on the table and had everything done, like everything. I didn't have to do anything. I didn't have to cut the avocado or get, you know, cilantro from the garden, you know, and I'm like, this is a 10. This is a different kind of 10. You know,
That's
is maybe
an 11.
Yeah, it's an 11.
If not
totally.
a 12.
I know. And
My
so,
gosh, that sounds like the most wonderful thing I've ever heard.
I know. And it was turkey chili, but it was like, it was still,
cares?
I know. It was
There's
so
cilantro.
lovely. I know. Exactly. Anyway, so I was just sort of thinking, I'd love to hear from you guys on this, because I have been celebrating kind of more of the mundane, I guess. It's just like there is so much beauty if you stop and, you know, let yourself be in the moment and look at your surroundings, as opposed to quickly snapping a shot, posting it to Instagram, and just like be there. I have some friends who do that, who like they go travel and it's like everything's a snapshot. Every moment is pick up the phone, you're on a group chat, you're just like, you're constantly connected. And I've just been sort of trying to be a little bit more kind of aware of where my mind goes in these moments, and kind of pull myself back to really appreciate even like that mundane. So that's what I've been thinking about lately.
I think that's it's a good thing to think about, even if there's not like some like, ooh, I have to make drastic changes tomorrow. Just to sort of be aware of when you can. I don't know if like switch your brain on and off is the right way to put it, but just to kind of be like, okay, there are certain sort of silos, and my comfort level determines when I can kind of be a part of those and be present and be like the best version of myself.
Totally. Exactly.
And we can't all do all of those things all the time. And it's not just a calendar. It's like your own just like being.
Yeah, totally. It really is. And I thought about it a lot too, because I hadn't spent that long reading, like that large of a piece of time. Like I read a lot all the time. I'm always reading articles, and I'm, you know, it's just that like quiet time of like, it was well over an hour that I was like engaged in this book. And I just was like, I need more of this. Like I need more of these moments. It doesn't all have to be, you know, this crazy 10. Anyway, kind of an interesting way to think about it.
Yeah. I mean, my day was not a 10 today. I mean, my day is pretty great because we're doing the show, but I wouldn't call it a 10. I would call it a solid 6.
Yeah, which is fine, which is great.
We're not failing, but we're a 6.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
And,
there's nothing wrong with that.
just because, right. You know, I'll go for an 8.
Yeah.
You know, when we get down to the 4, I'm like, all right, Sarah, what's happening here?
Yeah, you gotta like start upping the ante when you
Just take
stay
my
below
Ativan.
like a 4.
That's what happens.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, listen, before we wrap up the show, real quick, if you are already a patron of ours, thank you so much for sticking with us. We know we're a funny crew, but we're so glad to have you. Heather and I we're busy bees, but we love doing the show. It's, you know, our favorite part of the week. If you are not a patron and you'd like to directly support the show, the easy way to do that is by going to patreon.com/havesuchagoodday. We also have a new patron, 00, joined the flock. I shouldn't say that because that's a Twitter term, but I don't know. It just sounds so cute. Like you're like
flock?
a little quail now, like following,
They don't
behind
have ownership
kind of thing.
over that word, but like
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying.
It's our own kind of flock. We could spell it like with a Q or B word or something. But thank you, 00. So glad to have you. If you would like to join the Discord, please do if you haven't so
please do.
already. Not mandatory, but just a reminder that we do have a Discord. We've got a bunch of great folks. Hi, y'all, Discorders.
Hi, y'all.
In there, if you can part with $5 or more per month, you can jump on in there. Not mandatory, but we'd love to have you. And I would plug our Instagram and Twitters, Heather, but let's be honest. We're kind of like Discord only at this point.
We kind of are.
We're, not that we're not. In fact, Heather's Instagram, if you like to see kind of artsy, cute photos all the time, she has a really good one, Hedeville.
Thank you.
But otherwise, yeah, we're not doing it because we don't really know what to show.
I think it's hard. I think it was different back in the day when we were doing video, and like we are very creative people, but I think it's it's tough to keep the socials going. We try to spend a little bit more time, chatting directly with you guys in Discord and making it hopefully
that's
a
what
good
I
show.
enjoy the most. And even, we're all very busy. I mean,
Yeah.
we have people in there all the time who go like, yo, haven't talked to you guys in a couple months, but I'm still here. And I'm always like, yay, I know how that feels because life gets in the way.
It does. It does. But I mean, that doesn't mean that if you guys maybe you'll have a brilliant idea and you're like, it'd be really cool if you guys did this or something that maybe, we're missing a beat or something. Definitely let us know. Hi at havesuchagoodday.com.
Are we dropping the ball? If so, email us. Hi at havesuchagoodday.com.
Please do.
Thank you in advance.
I have to say, you know who you are out there. Your name starts with 2120, Sarah. You know who I'm talking about. But I love this human being. It may not be a human being. Maybe it's a cat. But they are commenting and sort of, they follow me on Hedeville at Hedeville. And they're very clever and very funny. And they just sort of, their comments, I don't know, they just brighten my day. And I've never met this person in person.
Nor
but
have I, to my knowledge.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I have.
Maybe like some friend of others who's just been trolling us for like 5 years now.
That would be
If
kind of
so,
awesome.
well played.
Well played indeed. Anyway, so it's really kind of a fun little adventure that we're having with y'all. So please stick with us. Hopefully things will I don't know, maybe we'll explode and become like a full-fledged daily show. Who knows? Until then.
No. I'm like, explode and become I'm like, what, an exploding star?
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, like a daily show. Right. Well, listen, I'm capable of doing that. So
Yeah.
you never know.
You never know. You never know
Stick
what
with
life
us
brings.
And see what happens when the dust settles a little bit around here. But until episode 167, which is right around the corner, I will stay Sarah.
And I will stay Heather forever. Have such a good day.
Have such a good day.
Bye.